Hi, my name is Ishaan Khosla and I'll be studying Politics, Philosophy, Economics at Ashoka University from fall 2018. Initially, I was preparing for my JEs. I was studying for the engineering entrance exams, but now I am moving into the liberal arts route. So I think Model United Nations conferences really did play an integral part when I was deciding my major, simply for the fact that they taught me so much about foreign policy, diplomacy, international relations, and they really got me hooked to economics because of the different foreign policies, foreign and financial policies that different countries followed. And having done about 25 of them across the country, really, after a while, it just became that, this is something that I really want to do. And I think once I took that break from engineering, it was just a matter of fact where I had to go through a lot of information that I had, as for someone who's never done arts, to really understand philosophy was a tough ask, and therefore, the internet was the best way to go. I remember watching Michael Sandel's lectures for hours and hours together about the morality of murder, and that was definitely, I really liked the way he spoke about what philosophy is and what philosophy should be. And therefore, definitely including that in my major with politics, philosophy, and economics definitely made sense. There's actually a quote that I heard from Michael Sandel where he was speaking about PPE, and he said that politics, philosophy, and economics have to go together because that's the way the world will lead itself. Politics, because it's the framework with what we will lead ourselves with. Philosophy is what we strive to achieve, and economics is the framework that is required and the money that is required for the same. And therefore, I really was hooked to that statement, and I said, wow, this is definitely something I want to do. And with Ashoka being one of the very few institutes in the world which actually have PPE as a course outside the EU, it was definitely a strong yes for me to go ahead and do PPE. So I think I've always been a very curious student. And up until the 10th, I really liked my sciences for that because I was able to apply what I learned in a textbook to the outside world, and that really taught me really tough concepts. And I love physics for that. But the logical decision for a middle-class Indian boy that if you're good at science, why don't you go and take up JEE? And that's what I did. However, it was, I spent about a year and a half doing the JEE prep, and it got really monotonous. I'm more of a creative person than an analytical one, and therefore it was almost like me and the person sitting next to me were doing the exact same thing. There was no difference in our opinion, what we did, and it was all as simple as this is the sum, this is the method, and this is how you solve it. And therefore it got really stressful for me as a student, because for someone who loves out-of-the-box thinking, that really wasn't there. And it got to a point where these 16-hour days got really hectic for someone who's always been wanting to know more about the subject than what's really present in the curriculum. So that really made me kind of reach a point where I started hating my sciences. And I think that is when I took that break from engineering, and I said, liberal arts are definitely, if you're asking a 16-year-old boy to make a decision for the rest of his life, what career you want to go to, it's definitely, I would want to make a more informed choice. And therefore liberal arts does feed that curiosity, and I can do so much more. For example, I'm planning to do PPE, but at the same time I would also want to do a minor in physics, another subject that I love. So that was really the decision that made me, that was really the reason why I took this decision to take the jump from really the JEE prep to the liberal arts. So I think when it comes to speaking about why I chose India, primarily Ashoka over the UK and Canada, the UK we really singled out very early in the process itself, simply for the reason that they had a very rigid structure. So for someone who is as curious as me, to really move around and understand the other courses would have been impossible. And the fact that the job market is also very scarce, and getting internships over there was also a very tough thing. So UK was out of the question very early in the process itself, but then it came down to Canada versus Ashoka. And really the deciding factors for me for Ashoka were the small class sizes. They have class sizes, your major class sizes aren't going to be larger than 20 people, while at maybe a UBC or a U Toronto you would have 100, 150 people in a class, and therefore you would lose that connect with your professor, and that is something that I definitely wanted. Then obviously the kind of reputation that Ashoka has got for itself in the academia now definitely did give me that impetus to join them and join this story that they have. And I think lastly, for the fact that I've always had this dream to do an Ivy League Masters, and if I'm getting an education at, as the Financial Times calls it, an Ivy League, Indian Ivy League education at 1/4 the cost, it was definitely a very, very practical choice to make. And I think I just cemented my decision the day I went onto campus and I met the students and professors, and that was just it for me, that this is where I want to go. So I think a very important part of my summer was doing an internship with the IDFC Institute, which is a think tank based here in Bombay. And they basically specialize in political economics, and they obviously do a lot of research that helps the government lead the country and govern the country. And therefore, seeing a lot of people who are interested in the exact same field that you are and carry out that work so professionally definitely gave me that impetus that I was going out and doing the right thing. And working with so many individuals from different sectors of politics and economics, some directly involved, some indirectly involved, I think it was really a good experience, because it gave me an insight into the subjects I was about to study, but gave me almost like a real world insight, something I don't think I would have got with just reading books. So I came into the Red Pen very late into the application process with almost about 6 months in hand, and I was very nervous, being like a nervous dropout from JEE. I didn't know what my choices were or what options I had, and but as soon as the Red Pen came on board, it was like the next 6 months were a blur, so rewarding. The entire idea of personality analysis, something I've never done, was done by the entire team in a span of 6 months, which I haven't been able to do in the last 18 years. I think the Red Pen, something that they do different from anybody else is the fact that they have this personal touch to it, which is that I don't think anybody's counselor calls them up and tells them, okay, you know what, don't stress out, relax, don't worry about it, it's just an application. I remember I wrote 65 drafts for a university which required 5, and the team went through each and every one of them to make sure that each and every single one of the words I'd written was perfect. But I just think at the end of the day, it's when you're sending out that application, if you're not satisfied with it and if you're not confident, the Red Pen isn't going to send it out. And I think that comfort and that entire idea of excellence that they bring on board once you're writing your application really does show in your application. I mean, I've seen the way my application completely changed once the Red Pen came on board, simply for the reason that I was so much more comfortable about writing about myself and what the question asked me for than I would have ever been if it wasn't for the Red Pen. So I think primarily for students who feel that they're not in the best situation that they're in, as in they're not doing what they love, I think the first thing to do is speak up, speak to people who have been in that field, speak to people who are professionals in that field. That's very, very important. And definitely kind of research about what your options are, because the way that I see the world today is that every day we have like 5 subjects added to a university, and that has to be something that you would love doing. Second piece of advice I would give to students is that a lot of them have this entire idea that we have to do extracurriculars, and all of them just end up doing a wide range of extracurriculars where they've just touched upon every single one of them. However, something that I believe, and I've kind of realized once I was doing my application process and once in the interview, was that if you are really passionate about a certain activity, you should carry it forward. Carry it forward to the very edge. As in, for example, for me, it was Model United Nations conferences, where I not only did 25 of them in all around the country, but I also founded this venture which helps students, young students who've never munned before, to munn, something like that, where you are actually very involved with the activity rather than just touching upon one and moving on to the next one. So that is definitely something that the admissions director definitely sees while interviewing you. The fact that how much do you really care about something you do, and how much in depth are you willing to go for a certain activity. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you like the video and if you'd like to see much more of what the Red Pen team does, please like, subscribe and share this video. Thank you.